Welcome to Gaia's Love, a podcast of brief messages to help humanity bridge the gap to the new earth. My name is Vivienne Gerard. It is my delight to be a scribe for consciousness today, sharing the wisdom that flows through from Source. Here we go. Episode 382. It is Friday here in Cincinnati. It's warm outside. I think we're in the upper 50s. The sun is shining. It's starting to be spring. I went outside this morning to walk Star, and there were all these little shoots of daffodils starting to poke up out of the ground. They're probably 5 or 6 inches out of the ground already. And it feels like spring is coming. Here in our area, I don't know what it's like where you live, but here the seasons are so separated. Like there's a distinct shift from winter to spring, and then there's a distinct shift from spring to summer. And it's so much fun to watch how it changes. Just here, even in our little neighborhood in the area around our home, we live with all of these trees around us, and so it's just amazing. The views from the windows are so different depending on the season. And what I know is coming is that brilliant green that I've mentioned before here. That lime green is just about to start showing itself to us. And the first sign is always these little daffodils that come up out of the ground. So I was really excited this morning to see that. I'm like, yes. We also are having the daylight savings time change on Sunday, which I don't like as much as I like the fall one. The fall one is always my favorite day of the year because you have 25 hours that day. This time we're going to have 23 hours. We actually lose an hour in order to move forward, but it's okay because it means the sun is going to be up at probably 5:30 instead of 6:30 in the morning, which is amazing. It just feels like your day starts earlier, and then the light, starts to extend later in the day. I know you don't need me to tell you all this. I'm just sharing my excitement because those seasons are changing. We also have a new moon in Pisces tomorrow. It's actually tonight going into tomorrow. So I love new moons, and there's a lot of creative energy that I move through around this time, so I'll share that now in case I forget to mention it later. I have several things going on for the new moon. So I create a tarot card reading, usually with my Zen deck and then a couple other decks. Sometime tomorrow I will be doing that, and then I post that on my Instagram account and YouTube. So if you want to see how I play with energy through the cards, those videos are so fun. There's always some amazing, beautiful message for me, and then for whoever is engaging in a similar energetic match. The messages are so fun, and the cards, the images always add another element to the way I read energy. And so as you're watching the video, you may see something different in the cards, the images, than I do, and so you can take the reading to another whole level within your own receiving of it. So I encourage you, if you haven't watched those, to maybe check those out on my channel and tune in tomorrow. I also am creating a new moon meditation. Those are really fun, beautiful meditations. They're shorter than the ones I do on Sunday. On Sunday, I do an hour-long energy healing, clearing meditation. And on these new moons, I do usually 20-25 minutes. And I create a playlist, so there's music that goes along with my voice, they're so much fun. I love those meditations. And so those are available on my website under, what is it under? Offerings, astrology and tarot, I think, or you can find it in the store under New Moon Magic. And then what I've been doing recently, which I love, I've done it once and we're going to continue doing it because it was so much fun. I'm creating a manifestation circle. So I take a big sheet of paper. I have these big easel pads that I love to play with. and I draw a big circle on it, and then I write at the top new moon in whatever the sign is. So for tomorrow it'll be Pisces. And then as you exchange for the meditation, you send me your intention for the next lunar cycle, and then I handwrite it into the manifestation circle. And so all of us who are listening to the meditation and putting our intention into the circle are increasing the power and the strength of everyone's intentions. Then all of the gym members, the energy gym members, get that meditation as part of their membership. And so their intentions are going into the circle. So there's this focused manifestation power that we all contribute into this collective written word. And then we hold that intention for a few days, and then I burn it. My husband helped me last time. He was holding we had so much fun. We're staying outside, and it was like, I think it was snowing then, and we're burning this big sheet of paper. It was so funny. So we'll do that again, this time 3 days after the manifestation circle closes. And then we release those intentions to the stars. So I love calling this space to the stars and back, because I feel like energetically we send those wishes out to the universe, and then the universe sends them back and manifests them. And it just feels so fun. So you may want to look at that. And then if you are on Meetup, I have a community on Meetup, and we're going to be doing a free Zoom chat tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock. And we will be talking about our intentions and just spending some focused time supporting each other and clarifying them and witnessing them. And then I'll write those intentions also into the manifestation circle. So all kinds of fun energy happening tomorrow. We are in the new moon in Pisces, and I am married to a Pisces. I think Pisces is such a beautiful sign. I mean, all the signs are beautiful, but I feel like Pisces energy, and I am able to witness it close up, how my husband lives and moves and sees the world and guides the work that he does. There's such pure intention in the way that he wants to be. He just has such a good, pure, big heart. And I feel like so many Pisces people, is that what you call them? Pisces people? They are so much like that. Their vision is so big. They see how we should all be unified, and how silly some of the game playing is. And so they're able to hold just such a big, kind, compassionate space for humanity. I always feel like my husband has so much more grace for people's mistakes than I do. He operates at a different speed and ability and capacity than I think much of the world. And so I have to remind him sometimes, like, not everybody has your ability to see things like that. You need to remember there are others who are just more normal. They're not godlike, they're more normal. And so we have to be able to remember that. But he has such love for the good in people, and that has taken a lot of working through things to get to that place. So when I was reading Astro Mama's report this morning, if you don't follow her, I really suggest that you check her out on Facebook. And then she has a website, astromama.com. She posted a beautiful reflection this morning about this Pisces energy, and she described it as really allowing yourself to go into some of your patterns, or what she calls pain places, traumas that maybe have you feeling stuck, and not being afraid of them, but actually looking at what's there and allowing yourself to feel some of the emotion of it, and then find the compassion for yourself in that space. She says it so beautifully. It's absolutely worth the time to find it and read what she wrote. It's incredibly gentle guidance for all of us of how to really align with the power of this new moon. New moons are very much about starting something fresh, setting a new intention, beginning a new cycle. And if there are places where you're really feeling stuck, this is a perfect time in Pisces to be gentle with yourself, to sit in some of those stories and feel what's true underneath them. Go to the places inside where you're able to, let me offer this, perhaps this is a good guidance in. I believe every soul inherently is a beautiful, good soul. I believe every baby born into humanity comes in as an inherently beautiful, pure light. Every single baby is born with the possibility of their origin, and their origin is source, their origin is light, their origin is connection and love. Like, their origin is love. There's no baby born that's like hate from the moment they're emerging into the world. That's just not possible. Every soul that comes into the human form comes from light and eventually will return to light. So you enter into this human realm with light. So if we have that inside of us as this original birth, this original creation, then it must be that we can tap into that at any point in our human journey. So here at this new moon in Pisces, if there's a part of you, because this is what we do as humans in general, we make mistakes along the way, what we call mistakes, what others call mistakes, and then we put this label on ourselves of we're bad, or we do things wrong, or we're not good enough, or people don't love us. We internalize these beliefs that there's something wrong inside of us and we can't be good because we did this wrong thing. And then we make that more and more true, and we find evidence in new relationships, new experiences, new jobs, new health things. We find all this evidence that we are that story we're telling ourselves. And we can go into some really lonely, isolating, dark places where we absolutely believe there's something terrible about us. And we validate that story, and then that is our truth. So here I am saying to you in this moment, at this new moon in Pisces, I don't believe that's true. I believe every single one of us is good. The soul inside came here with really beautiful, pure intentions to learn, to love, to explore, to feel. And maybe along the way it got kind of messy, or we co-created in communities or situations where it didn't go very good. In fact, it might have gone downright lousy. This is coming from someone who has been through a divorce. Like, I was not at my best for a long time. I could have been much more in alignment with purity and kindness and love, and I wasn't. And there are so many ways that, we try things out and we don't quite do as well as we thought we could do. So here we are, again, at this new moon, as I say this repeatedly. We're at this new moon where we have the potential to begin a cycle that could be different, to look at a pattern and find what is absolutely the origin truth of that pattern. And then maybe we could let the old pattern go. So if this is resonating for you, as you go inward to sit with some of the pains or traumas or stories or, whatever your experience is right now, as you go into that quiet time and reflect or journal or walk and be with nature, whatever your way of feeling your emotions is, whatever the pathway to that is for you, give yourself compassion. If you can touch the moment or the the way that you entered the world. Perhaps that's a good way to say it. If you can allow yourself to see yourself as the baby that took its first breath and looked at the eyes of the mom and the dad like, whoa, I'm actually here. We're actually going to do this thing. I hope I do it well. I hope you do it well. I hope we all do it well. Can you go back and remember the expectation? No, that's not even the word. The first breath as I breathe here, the first breath, the first sigh, the first scream, the first laugh, the first whatever, as you entered into this journey. Can you go back to that moment and feel the truth that in that moment you were not here with bad intention. You were here with pure love, and you were just wanting to have a human journey. And so if that's who you were when you arrived, that origin is somewhere inside of you still, even in this moment. No matter how much you think you've done things wrong or not been perfect, there is that spark of origin inside of you that came with all of that light. And that's what I feel like Pisces holds for us, the memory of that first intention, the intention to experience, to be love and move around the world as love and experience the human realm. That's the truth of your arrival. Like, you were connected to Source intimately, to the family in which you stepped into. Like, immediately you were connected to all these things, all these people, all these energies. And then as time goes by and we become an individual and we grow up and we observe the world and then internalize beliefs and thoughts and make these new dogmas for ourselves about who we are and how people see us, there's always the opportunity to rewrite some of that story, to go back to the pure beauty of who you were when you arrived. And like the word I keep hearing is cleanse, like to cleanse the line the timeline that goes from who you are in this moment all the way back to who you were as a little baby. Just cleanse the timeline. You can't change any of that because it's already happened. You could make amends if you feel like there are ways to do that. Maybe there are people that you need to talk with or apologize to or receive apologies from, which I don't know. That's another whole podcast episode. I don't know how you get people to apologize if they're not ready to, so you may have to just give up on that one. But your forgiveness for the situation brings so much grace. That's a cleansing. And remembering the beauty of the soul that chose to come here and play on earth with all of us. Thank God you did. Thank God you did, because look at what you've contributed. And here you are in this moment. I can feel the purity that still sits in you and in me and in all of us. Like, we are love, even as the stories and the patterns try to impose themselves on top of us. We are love. The prompting for this, the nudge for this emotion, this energy that I'm expressing to you today, came through in a dream last night, and I woke up like right in the middle of it, and I was so mad because I didn't want the dream to be over. And then this morning I was just laying there in bed for a couple more minutes, remembering it and just feeling the beauty of the dream. And when I was getting ready to start this podcast, I'm like, am I really going to share this dream? Because it was so personal, so much of my heart, like, really? And all I could hear was Raphael going, yes. Yes, you are. So I share it with you now. I had this friend, if you are new to this podcast, I had this beautiful friend who died 5.5 years ago. And I shared in a podcast sometime last year in September about him. His name was Raphael, and the podcast title is 5 Years Later. And he was a beautiful sound healer, a shaman who just changed my life in one weekend of being in a sound healing and talking with him and learning from him. And then he died right after that. And so almost immediately, within a few months, I could feel his energy still guiding my path and my work. And so I shared in that podcast what that's looked like and how he dances and plays with me at a soul level. And so he'll pop in randomly, like I feel him constantly as a protector guide, in my meditation time. But randomly he'll just pop in during certain conversations with people, or last night it was a dream. And when it happens, there's such a feeling in my heart that's just pure love. Like, it's not a sexual love, it's not a parent love, it's not a relative love or a friend love. It's just this pure, like, source God love, unconditional, no stories attached. I didn't know him for long, so I don't have all this baggage that goes along with a relationship. It's just boom, heart opening, he's gone, and now here's his soul. So there's this really powerful way that he transmits love to me that has no attachment to it. And that's such a gift. It's such a gift to have that kind of expression of love in my journey. So last night, I've been having all these dreams, which is also Pisces energy. Esther Mama went on and on about dreams. When she did each of her individual sign readings, she does that in Patreon, and I am one of her Patreon followers. And so I receive these emails with like specific things for each sign, which are brilliant. But she talked a lot about dream space, and Pisces as a zodiac sign is known for that, like the ability to connect and communicate through dreams. So I've had wild dreams all week, like very specific people showing up and conversations that I remember when I wake up, and just all this magic has been happening in my dream space. Well, last night I was having a dream about like some sort of gathering. I don't remember. It felt like something work related. And all of a sudden, like in the middle of the dream, all of a sudden, Raphael was standing right in front of me, but he was super tall. Like he was probably 7 feet tall, and I'm 5 foot. Like he was significantly taller than me. And he had his white shaman clothing on that if you've ever seen pictures of him, or if I've shared pictures, he had this beautiful white like it looks like a karate uniform, but it has a lot of embroidery on it, like greens, and the groups that he had worked with had prepared that for him as a gift, and so he wore it when he was doing his sound healings. And that was exactly what he was wearing in the dream, but he was really, really, really tall, and he just suddenly appeared in front of me, and he said, "Do you want to dance?" And I was like, okay, even though I was in the middle of whatever I was doing in the dream for my work, he was there, and I could feel, my heart was like, oh, Raphael's here in my dream. But it was like it was real. It wasn't like it was a dream. Because I'm like, oh my God, Raphael's here, and he wants to dance, yes. And so I stepped towards him to try to dance with him, but he was so tall, and I was so short. And so I was putting my hand, like I was trying to get my hand up to his shoulder, but it was almost like I couldn't reach his shoulder, and he was not leaning down, he was standing straight. So there was this weird feeling I had of like, I don't know how to dance with you. You're so big and I'm so little, and what's happening? And how do we dance? We've never danced. I only knew you for a few days. Like, I don't know how to dance. Plus you've got your work clothes on. Are you dancing when you're working? It was just all this stuff running through my mind in my dream. And all of a sudden, he just had his hands in like a very traditional ballroom kind of dancing position. And I just stepped forward, and we were suddenly just like dancing. Like we were moving around this room in my dream. And it felt so easy. And like I wasn't even on my feet dancing, but I know we were grounded. And we were just like moving in this really easy way around the room. And then out of like nowhere is what it felt like, I heard him just say with his whole body, just super simply, he said, "I love you." And I could feel my whole body melt. And I was like, oh, he loves me. Like, it's true. And so it makes me want to cry. And so I said back, like, "I love you too." But it was just this pure, like soul to soul, just saying, "I see you and I love you. And this moment is just so precious and perfect. Thank you for this moment." And then I could feel my head, my mind starting to go, and my mind is like, "What do you mean you love him? What does he mean he loves you? And what does that actually mean? And should you tell Brad that you love him? Should Brad..." Like, my mind went into this really human chat with myself about what it all means. And we're still just dancing around the room, and I can feel just my body so happy, that like he was in my dream. And it was such a pure, beautiful moment. And then the dream ended. And I was so mad. I was like, wait, there's more, right? There has to be more that we say to each other. Like, what's going on? What are you doing? Like, what's happening in your realm, in your world? And let me tell you what's happening here. Like, I wanted this big conversation. And what he showed me was, it's not necessary. We don't need to talk about all of that stuff. We said all that's important, which is we can connect as souls, as love, through dimensions of consciousness, through different realities, and have that pure moment of like, I'm not gone. You're not gone. We can share love in a brief moment, and it'll strengthen you, and it'll put you more firmly on your path tomorrow when you get up in the morning. And whatever his experience is better because of what he experienced in that just brief connection. And so we breathe and we move on. We go back into our existence and our realms, and we do what it is that we are here to do. But we do it with a bigger heart, with more love moving through us because of that one moment of connecting again. For me last night, it was my friend Raphael. Sometimes it's my grandmother. Sometimes it's other friends who have transitioned. Sometimes it's an archangel. And for you, it may be your mother or your father or your child, your best friend. Someone that you've adored as a celebrity on TV, that you feel like you know them, and then in your dreams they come and they touch you with love and remind you that you're doing a great job and to keep going and to keep your heart open. They reconnect you back to that purity of who you are at a soul level, so that when your mind starts playing those silly games, you can say, that's just not true. Of course, I'll tell Brad. I'm telling you, I'll tell Brad. Right? It's not a secret. It's this absolute pure soul love that doesn't fit into ordinary definitions. So when I was sitting here this morning before my meditation and before the podcast, trying to decide, like, as I always do, what do I talk about today? What do I share today? Like, what's the energy, the transmission that most serves this human realm in this moment, through my voice, through my love, through the way I walk this world? What serves to move through me? And what I could feel were the words, "I love you," and how much story is attached to those words for so many of us. We have heard, hopefully we have heard "I love you" from our parents or our siblings, maybe from a partner, maybe from a stranger. We hear "I love you" in so many different ways, and then we try to understand how it's being shared or said how we're receiving it. And then we try to figure out, mostly with our minds, not often with our bodies, how do we receive that? Where does that love that's being spoken actually go into our human bodies, into our awareness? And so the words I love you can get very jumbled, very distorted. They can be given and then pulled back. Those are perhaps the most painful memories of I love you. It's when someone or you yourself have said it and then the relationship shifts and it doesn't feel like that is true anymore in our human experience. Of course, at a soul level, it always is true. All souls love all souls because we all come from the same soul, from the same source. So if we hated each other as souls, we would be hating ourselves, and that makes no sense at a soul level. But in the human mind, in the human stories, it gets very confusing, and we don't always feel that love stays even after the relationship. And so, we start to change the story, and the feelings are not love. The feelings are wounding or pain or rejection or resentment, perhaps as strong as hatred. And when that happens, and we hear I love you again, but from someone else, the old stories can kick up inside of us. And the new love that may be pure, that's being directed towards us, is filtered through some of those old stories, through some of those old hurts. And so we can't quite let in a pure love. Or the wound is so internalized within us that our energetic signal we're sending out is vibrating at that wounded level. And so we're constantly pulling towards us those who match that vibration, who have a similar wound. And then we're kind of all re-wounding each other. So I love you can get very, very messy. Very messy. I feel like Raphael's gift to me last night, with the intention of nudging me to share it with you, is to remind us, go back to that purity. Go back to that origin of love at a soul level. And the place to begin is always with yourself. Can you love your own soul human journey exactly as it is, knowing you've probably been trying to do the best you can, and it doesn't always go the way we think it's going to go. But if you can bring some of that compassion and love to yourself and take that into the new moon in Pisces energy tomorrow, sit with deep care and love and kindness to this human expression of your soul, and just love on yourself a while. It will shift the way you then interact with those around you. Your frequency, your heart chakra will be vibrating at a different level. And so there's more openness, there's a little bit more trust, a little bit more vulnerability. And so perhaps that's what you can pull towards you instead, is more of that matching, because something in you has shifted. I personally, Viv, have a very easy relationship with the words I love you, and my heart for the most part is very happy. I'm like, what is the word I want to say? I'm very happy in my heart chakra. I feel very content and satisfied with the life that I am living and the relationships that I am in. And so there's such an easy movement of energy in and through my heart chakra that it often bubbles up to my throat. And so I will say I love you sometimes at what may feel like very, not inopportune, what is the word? Inappropriate. At very inappropriate times because it's just, I'm feeling it in my heart and I just don't think about it. And the words I love you pop out. And sometimes the people I'm with are like, what'd you say? What? And I get very distrusting looks or very surprised looks. Those who are in the moment fully with me will sometimes say right back, I love you too. And then kind of look at me like, what did I just say to you? What just happened? Because their minds are probably doing what my mind did in my dream last night. What will Brad say? Is that really true? Which way do I love you? By saying I love you, does it mean we're in a relationship? Like, what do I do with all this? But when it's genuine, when my heart really is genuinely happy and feeling this soul human love for another person who I'm in a conversation with or in an experience with, and I say that, it's legitimately the truth. It's the feeling of love moving through me into that individual. And so as I say it, I mean it. And that level of truth, love, with no conditions attached to it, is not very common from what I've found here in the world. And so when someone is surprised by it, they're often a little suspicious of it. And so it takes time. It takes a little time to keep being in that same conversation with those people, or keep being in situations with those people before they actually are able to receive it and believe what I am saying. You know, it's kind of like me with Raphael last night, like, oh, you do love me? Really, really? Like, you're not just saying that? Like, you really, really do love me? And it was just this whole body love. Like, it was like every cell in his dream body, the ethereal version of him that was in my dream, like every cell was saying, I love you, I'm here, I see you, you're doing great, keep going. And me in the dream was like, what is happening? Is this legit? Like, what do I do with this? So that often happens to me here in the human journey. And so if I say to you at some point when we meet, I love you, it's probably because I feel it. And if that surprises you, it's okay. It's all right. It's like little children, little babies. You know, when they feel your heart, they don't have to know you. They'll just wrap their arms around you and hug you and just be happy. And your hearts are connected right away. And then off they go into their day, and off you go into yours. And it's just joy. It's just this pure connection. Yeah. I feel like we all need more of that kind of love. And my hope is, as humanity continues to awaken, it's going to be such a valid experience for so many of us. Like the moment you meet somebody, when you are solid and in your body and certain of who you are and why you're here and fully connected to Source or God or the universe and feeling love flowing through, and then you meet somebody who is a match to that, the words of the human experiences aren't really that important. I mean, yes, we'll be like, what's your name? Where are you from? What do you do? Are you happy? Are you like, we'll still have all those conversations, but there will be this immediate heart resonance where it will just be like the words I love you flow out, and you'll be saying them, and the person across from you will be saying them back, and it will absolutely be truth for each one of you, but your minds will be going, what? What is happening? Won't that be fun? I think that's going to be amazing when we get to that kind of experience, when we're meeting new people. Like, those kinds of gatherings will be phenomenal. as Star walks in to say hi to Jade. I think they're at the same heart resonance. I'm not quite sure. Okay, that feels like more than enough for today. There will be a lot of beautiful content tomorrow as I play in this new moon in Pisces energy and share whatever the messages are that come through when I read the cards. So maybe check that out, Instagram and YouTube tomorrow. You can find all the links in the description with today's podcast. And then on Sunday at 10 a.m., which whatever that does with the time change for you, at 10 a.m. Eastern in daylight savings time, we will be gathering for our meditation, our energy healing together. So if you find that you feel vulnerable this weekend, or you are sitting in some of those, I keep getting the word salty, in some of those salty feelings, those salty stories, and you need support, or you just need to be held, the meditation space on Sunday is a beautiful way to give yourself a little cocoon. Everyone's on mute when we call into the phone line, except for me, and then my voice just guides us through this process of releasing old energy and reconnecting fully with Source in a way that we can trust, and then receiving like a refilling of energy in our bodies, feeling love, in all of your cells. So that space is available on Sunday if you need to be supported. You can find the link to that right on my homepage on my website, mysouljourney.com. Right in the center it says join our Sunday meditation, and then the exchange for that is $11. So if you need support, I will be there, and others in community will be right there with you, doing their own work just as you do yours. And then we'll move into next week. Who knows what is going to happen in the next week here on planet Earth, but it is good to be in this moment with you. Have a beautiful weekend. Thank you for tuning in to this vibration of pure love. I invite you to join me on Sunday mornings for an hour of meditation, visualization, and energy healing, where we realign our mind, body, spirit with Gaia and Source. You can learn more at mysouljourney.com. Let's take this message of Gaia's love out into all of our relationships and communities today. So much love from my heart to yours.